She came to California chasing a dream, but her secret love affair with a millionaire turned into a nightmare that ended in murder. In 2019, Leila Amrani arrived in Los Angeles with nothing but 2 suitcases, a student visa, and a heart full of hope. At 21, she had left her family and the narrow streets of Casablanca behind, trading them for the vast, unfamiliar world of California. Everything felt new: the language, the culture, the fast pace of city life. She was determined to make the most of it. Enrolled in an international business program, she spent her mornings at university and her evenings working at a small cafe tucked between luxury boutiques in Beverly Hills. The cafe was her window into another world, a world of wealth, glamour, and effortless charm that she had only seen in movies. Leila was polite and quiet, often lost in thought as she wiped tables and served lattes. Customers came and went, but she never forgot faces. Each one told a story: actors rehearsing lines, socialites flaunting jewelry, and businessmen closing deals over espresso. To her, it was both fascinating and intimidating. She saved every tip, sending part of it home to her mother and younger brother. Though the hours were long and exhausting, she took pride in her independence. Her coworkers admired her dedication, but none knew how lonely she truly felt. The city sparkled, yet beneath its brightness, she sensed a coldness she couldn't describe. On quiet nights, she would stand outside the cafe, watching cars speed by under the glow of palm trees and neon lights. She often wondered if success was worth the emptiness that seemed to follow it. It was during one of those nights that she noticed a customer who would soon become a constant presence in her life. A man whose smile seemed kind, whose words felt safe, and whose attention would ultimately cost her everything. Elliot Kane was the kind of man who turned heads wherever he went. At 47, with silver hair, a tailored suit, and an air of confidence that came only with wealth, he carried himself like someone used to getting what he wanted. He owned several real estate firms across California, known for his luxury developments and high-profile clients. When he first walked into the cafe where Leila worked, it seemed like just another ordinary day. But for her, that moment would quietly set her fate in motion. Elliot became a regular customer, always ordering the same black coffee and sitting by the window with his phone in hand. At first, Leila barely noticed him, too focused on her work to care about the faces that came and went. Over time, he began striking up small talk, asking about her studies, her life in Morocco, and her dreams for the future. His voice was calm, his smile reassuring. To Leila, he seemed different from the other wealthy customers, less arrogant, more attentive. He started leaving generous tips, then small notes of appreciation. She tried to remain professional, but the kindness felt intoxicating. Soon, he began waiting for her shift to end, offering her rides home in his black car. Their encounters grew frequent, moving from casual coffee breaks to expensive dinners overlooking the ocean. Elliot spoke of business, art, and travel, painting pictures of a life she had only imagined. Leila felt special, chosen, seen in a city where she often felt invisible. He showered her with compliments, always making her feel safe in his presence. She didn't realize that the attention wasn't love, it was control disguised as care. And as she stepped deeper into his world, she couldn't see the danger quietly closing in around her. Elliot's attention soon turned into a whirlwind of gifts and promises. He took Leila to private dinners at hidden rooftop restaurants, weekend getaways to Napa Valley, and art galleries where she felt out of place but enchanted. He told her she was different from anyone he had ever met, beautiful, intelligent, and pure-hearted. Leila believed every word, her heart caught between gratitude and disbelief. When he offered to help her with her career, saying he could introduce her to business investors and arrange internships, she saw it as a sign of genuine care. But with every favor came a small condition: secrecy. Elliot insisted that their relationship stay private, explaining that he had personal matters to resolve. Leila accepted it at first, thinking it was temporary. She didn't want to ruin something that felt special. Soon, she stopped posting photos on social media and avoided mentioning him to friends. He told her that people wouldn't understand their connection and that gossip could destroy what they had. Gradually, she began to live in 2 worlds, one filled with luxury and affection, and another where she lied to cover up her absence. Her friends noticed the change. The once outgoing and cheerful Leila now arrived late to classes, distracted and anxious. She started wearing expensive clothes that seemed far beyond her means. When asked, she laughed it off, saying she got them on sale. Yet inside, she carried a growing unease. She missed her independence, but feared losing him even more. Elliot's influence seeped into every part of her life, and though she didn't yet realize it, she was already trapped in a web carefully spun around her. The man who claimed to love her was quietly shaping her world to fit his control. One night, while scrolling through social media, Leila's world collapsed in an instant. There, on the glossy pages of an online magazine, she saw Elliot standing beside a woman, elegant, confident, and smiling. The caption read, "Real estate mogul Elliot Kane and wife attend charity gala." Her breath caught. The man who claimed to be separated, who said his marriage was over, was still publicly living a double life. Every dinner, every promise, every affectionate word suddenly felt like a cruel performance. She sat frozen, staring at the image as tears blurred her vision. The illusion of love she had built around him shattered into sharp pieces of betrayal. Leila spent days in silence, unable to focus on work or studies. Messages from Elliot went unanswered, each one filled with excuses about privacy and appearances. He claimed the photos were old, that his divorce was in progress. His explanations no longer made sense. The charm that once comforted her now sounded manipulative. When she finally gathered the courage to confront him through a long message, she poured out her anger and heartbreak, demanding the truth. The reply came 3 days later, a brief apology followed by yet another promise that everything would soon change. But deep down, something inside her had already shifted. She began to see the cracks in his perfection, the controlling tone, the evasive answers, the secrets. The luxury that once dazzled her now felt suffocating. She realized she had been living in someone else's shadow, playing a role in a story she never agreed to be part of. Still, a part of her held on to hope that he might change. That small, fragile hope would soon pull her deeper into the darkness she was trying to escape from. In the weeks that followed, Elliot's behavior grew increasingly strange. He became distant, no longer affectionate, but still possessive. Whenever Leila tried to pull away, he would remind her of the expensive gifts, the trips, and the money he had spent, making her feel indebted to him. Then, his requests began. He asked her to open a bank account under her name, saying it would help him manage taxes for an overseas property. She hesitated, confused, but he reassured her it was perfectly legal and only temporary. Trusting him once more, she signed the papers he gave her, never realizing what she had stepped into. Within days, large sums of money began moving through the account. At first, she ignored it, assuming Elliot knew what he was doing. But soon, she received a warning from the bank about suspicious activity. Fear began to creep in. When she confronted Elliot, his calm demeanor turned icy. He told her to delete the emails and promised to handle everything. His tone made it clear she had no choice. Leila couldn't sleep that night. Her heart raced as she replayed every detail in her mind, realizing she might be tied to something criminal. The next week, she received another notice. This time, the authorities wanted clarification about her financial activities. Panic set in. She tried to reach Elliot, but he stopped responding to her calls. It was then that she saw through the illusion completely. The man she thought she loved had used her as a pawn in his hidden schemes. Guilt and fear consumed her as she packed her belongings, determined to walk away from him forever. But ending a relationship with someone like Elliot Kane wouldn't be as simple as walking out the door. Leila decided she had endured enough. After nights of anxiety and guilt, she finally called Elliot and told him she was done. Her voice trembled, but her decision was firm. She wanted her life back, the study she had neglected, the peace she had lost, and the freedom she once cherished. On the other end of the line, Elliot was silent for a few seconds before his tone shifted from calm to threatening. He accused her of betrayal, of being ungrateful after everything he had done for her. Then, in a cold, detached voice, he warned her that leaving him would be a mistake. His words sent a chill through her. It was the first time she truly feared him. That evening, she packed her clothes into 2 suitcases and left the apartment she had once shared with him. She moved in with her classmate, Mia, who noticed how pale and shaken she looked but didn't press for details. Leila told her she planned to report Elliot to the police, but she needed time to gather evidence first. She spent the following days collecting documents, screenshots, and bank records, proof of the fraud she had unknowingly been part of. Elliot tried to reach her repeatedly, leaving voicemails that shifted between apologies and veiled threats. She ignored them all. She knew that walking away from a man like him came with danger, but she believed the truth would protect her. On the night before she planned to meet with investigators, she sat by the window of her small apartment, watching the city lights. For the first time in months, she felt a sense of clarity and strength. But that moment of peace would not last. By morning, Leila Amrani would vanish without a trace. The next morning, Mia woke up to find Leila's bed untouched. Her suitcase was still by the wall, her phone charger plugged in, and her laptop open on the desk. Nothing seemed stolen, nothing broken, yet Leila was gone. Mia tried calling her repeatedly, but the calls went straight to voicemail. At first, she thought Leila had gone to the police early, but as hours passed with no word, worry turned into panic. By evening, she filed a missing person report. Investigators began tracing Leila's last known movements through her phone records and credit card transactions. They discovered that her final location had been a luxury hotel near Malibu, booked under one of Elliot Kane's companies. Surveillance footage from the hotel lobby showed Leila arriving around 9 p.m., dressed in a beige coat and carrying a small purse. She appeared calm, unaware she was being watched. An hour later, Elliot was seen entering through a side entrance, wearing a cap and sunglasses. He never checked in under his name. Detectives reviewed hours of footage but found no evidence of Leila ever leaving the hotel. The next morning, her phone signal disappeared near the coastal highway, a few miles from the property. Elliot, when questioned, claimed he hadn't seen her in days and suggested she might have run away. His calmness unsettled investigators. Meanwhile, Leila's friends and family launched online campaigns, pleading for information. Her disappearance quickly gained media attention, drawing comparisons to other high-profile cases involving wealthy men and vulnerable women. Behind the scenes, police quietly expanded their search, combing the rugged hills and beaches near Malibu. The hope of finding her alive began to fade as the hours turned into days. Then, on the fourth day, a pair of hikers stumbled upon something that would confirm everyone's worst fear. Two hikers exploring a remote trail in Topanga Canyon stopped when they noticed a patch of disturbed earth near the base of a cliff. The soil looked freshly turned, and a corner of white fabric protruded from beneath the dirt. When they dug a little, they saw what looked like a human hand. Terrified, they called the authorities. Within hours, the area was surrounded by police tape, forensic teams, and investigators. The shallow grave contained the body of a young woman wrapped in a hotel bedsheet. Her jewelry, passport, and student ID confirmed what everyone had feared. It was Leila Amrani. The coroner's report revealed she had died from strangulation, with deep bruising on her neck and arms, suggesting a violent struggle. There were traces of sedatives in her system, likely to weaken her before she was killed. Forensics also found remnants of a luxury men's cologne on the fabric, an exclusive brand used by Elliot Kane. Carpet fibers from his car matched the ones found near her body. Every clue pointed toward him. When detectives presented the evidence, Elliot maintained his composure, insisting he was being framed. He claimed that Leila had been obsessed with him and that she might have met someone else that night. But his calm exterior began to crack under scrutiny. Investigators discovered that the hotel suite where Leila was last seen had been cleaned unusually early, and security logs showed that Elliot's car had left the property around 2 a.m., the same time Leila's phone signal vanished. The discovery of her body ignited outrage across both Morocco and the United States. Vigils were held outside her university, where classmates lit candles and demanded justice. What had begun as a secret love affair now stood exposed as a chilling story of deceit, control, and murder. As the investigation deepened, the image of Elliot Kane as a respected businessman began to crumble. Detectives obtained a search warrant for his mansion in Beverly Hills, uncovering files, multiple phones, and hidden hard drives filled with encrypted data. When forensic analysts decrypted the contents, they exposed a dark network of illegal dealings, offshore accounts, fake companies, and money laundering operations. Leila's name appeared repeatedly across bank documents, confirming she had been unknowingly used to move large sums of money. The glamorous facade Elliot had built was collapsing piece by piece. Digital forensics also revealed deleted messages between him and Leila. In them, Elliot pressured her to stay quiet about the financial transactions, promising protection if she cooperated. The tone of his final messages grew menacing, filled with veiled threats about what would happen if she spoke to the police. His GPS records placed him near Topanga Canyon on the night of her death, and security footage captured his car returning home hours later, covered with traces of mud. When confronted with the evidence, Elliot tried to maintain his calm, claiming the data was fabricated, but his mask slipped during interrogation. Investigators learned he had a pattern of targeting foreign students, charming them, using them for money-related schemes, then discarding them when they became liabilities. Several women came forward, describing similar experiences of manipulation and fear. The prosecution built a powerful case against him, combining digital proof, financial trails, and forensic evidence. Under mounting pressure, Elliot's associates began testifying against him, confirming that Leila's death was not an accident but a deliberate act to silence her. The trial that followed became one of California's most publicized cases, exposing how greed and power could twist love into something deadly and unrecognizable. The courtroom was packed when the verdict was finally read. Reporters filled every seat, cameras flashing as the judge's voice echoed across the room. Elliot Kane sat motionless at the defense table, his once confident posture reduced to a slouched figure staring at the floor. The jury found him guilty on all charges: first-degree murder, fraud, and obstruction of justice. Gasps rippled through the gallery as the sentence was announced: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. For Leila's family, who had flown from Morocco to attend the trial, the moment brought both relief and unbearable sorrow. They wept quietly, holding one another as the reality of justice sank in. During the proceedings, prosecutors presented Leila's personal journal, recovered from her apartment weeks earlier. Each page revealed her gradual descent from hope to fear, documenting Elliot's manipulation, her isolation, and her final decision to expose him. The words were hauntingly simple, yet powerful, painting the picture of a young woman who had wanted only love and trust, and found betrayal instead. Her diary became the heart of the trial, a voice speaking for her long after her death. In the aftermath, public outrage grew into action. Universities across the United States implemented new safety programs for international students, warning them about financial exploitation and emotional manipulation. In Morocco, Leila's family founded the Leila Amrani Foundation, dedicated to supporting victims of deception abroad. Her story spread online, becoming a cautionary tale shared by thousands who saw in her both tragedy and strength. Though Elliot's empire had crumbled, the scars of his actions remained. Leila's life ended far too soon, but her story continued to echo beyond the courtroom, a reminder that behind every glittering promise, there can hide a shadow capable of destroying everything innocent it touches.